Hi, my name is Asha Gomez. Welcome to my video series where we blend the flavors of India into a southern kitchen. I hope you enjoy this collection that we have put together for you. Hello, welcome to my kitchen. My name is Asha Gomez, and today we're going to learn how to make some roasted acorn squash. I think people are intimidated by squash that have tough exteriors. I don't know what it is, whether it's a pumpkin or an acorn squash or butternut squash, but they're such delicious vegetables, and this is a really simple recipe that is actually a meal in itself. It doesn't need to be a side dish. This is actually a meal in itself because it's that filling. So here's our ingredient list for what we're going to do today. Acorns, sweet peppers. I have them in two colors. I have yellow and red. Butter, cane syrup or honey. It's really your preference which you'd like to use. Cane syrup or honey works. I have some salt here. I have a few fennel seeds that I just coarsely ground in my mortar and pestle, and some cinnamon powder. I'm also going to need some mustard seeds and some turmeric powder. Most important of all, we're going to need some coconut milk for this recipe. So I'm going to show you how to get our acorn squash ready to get roasted. I like to cut off the stem part and a little bit on the bottom. And then you need a nice sharp knife for this. Just go right down the center, all right? And you're probably going to have to put some muscle in it. Right there. Cut it right down the center like that. Here's another thing that I found. Like the greener they are, the more tender they are. When they start getting like more orange hues on them, it means they're maturing and they're not as tender. So just cut the stem off, a little bit off the bottom. And also cutting the stem off kind of gives me a steady, to hold it so I'm not going to hurt myself when I cut this vegetable. All right. And then you have to take the seeds off. I'm going to put my knife aside and just keep a spoon ready. And you can literally just scoop off the seeds. Just like that. So it's not a difficult vegetable to work with. It looks intimidating because the skin is so tough and the exterior is so tough, but it's not intimidating at all. So I turned my oven on to 400 degrees at a roast, and I'm going to now put this in the oven. But before I put it in the oven, I'm going to go ahead and put a tablespoon of butter each into the nice little centers that we scooped off. I'm going to season it with a little bit of salt. I'm using a pink Himalayan right now, but a kosher salt, regular salt, full tube. And you can be generous with the seasoning. I'm going to take a little bit of cinnamon powder. And just to change it up a little bit, like I said, I took some fennel and I coarsely ground it, and I'm going to put that in there. This is the recipe I'm giving you. I'm saying use cinnamon powder, use fennel, but don't restrict yourself to just these spices. I mean, if you have nutmeg, use nutmeg. You can use a little bit of clove powder if that's what you have access to. So you really can change the flavor of this dish depending on the spice that you use on it, and you don't have to feel restricted as to what spice it is you're going to use on it, okay? So my oven is ready at 400 degrees. I'm just going to stick this in the oven. And while that's happening, so that's going to take a good 20-25 minutes. It really depends on the acorn squash. Sometimes I'm working with a bigger acorn squash, it might take 45 minutes. So really you have to gauge it. It has to get fork tender. I'm thinking the size of the acorn squash I have today, it's probably going to be about 25 to 30 minutes, but I'm going to check it then. If it's not ready, I'll put it back in. Essentially, you just want a fork to go right through. So now we're going to get our filling for this acorn squash ready. which is also very, very simple. I have some peppers that I took the seeds off and I sliced them up nice and thin. We're gonna need a little mustard seeds and we're gonna need turmeric powder for this. Turn my flame on. I have some vegetable oil here. Just coat my pan with it. My flame is at a medium right now. As soon as it gets a little warm, I'm gonna put my mustard seeds in there, and I want my mustard seeds to pop. And then I'm gonna put the turmeric in there, put the sweet peppers, put a little bit of salt, and then the magic ingredient, coconut milk. People always ask me, you know, there's so many different types of coconut milk that are available in the market right now. Which is the best type of coconut milk? So it's really, you know, coconut milk has 3 different presses. So you have your first milk when you press it, second milk, third milk. And the first milk is usually the thick condensed version. That's why sometimes when you open different cans of coconut milk, different brands, you'll notice sometimes it's nice and creamy, sometimes there's a lot more water content. It's really what press it is. And probably the more expensive ones are your first press. This is my favorite brand. It's called Choco. It's a brand out of the Philippines, out of Thailand, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, it is. It's a product of Thailand. I've been using it for years. It's the first press of milk. It's beautiful, creamy coconut milk. My oil looks like it's nice and hot. I'm gonna go ahead and drop my mustard seeds. And wait for just a second till they pop. And I can already tell. Now they start bouncing around. Nice. And I'm gonna go ahead, there you go, pop. I'm gonna put my turmeric. And I'm gonna drop my peppers in. I really don't want my peppers to cook too much. I want to have a nice crunch to them. I'm going to put salt to taste. And I'm going to put about a cup of coconut milk. This can has 2 cups. I'm going to go ahead and put about a half a can. So beautiful and so simple. Oil, mustard seeds, turmeric powder, peppers, coconut milk. And so when the acorn squash come out of the oven, beautifully roasted, we're gonna drizzle it with some cane syrup or honey, and then we're gonna top it off with this coconut and peppers. Simple, easy, delicious, great weekday meal. Perfect, and it's done. I'm going to stop. So it's been about 25 minutes. I'm gonna check on those acorn squash. And they're sizzling. And ready. That looks beautiful. But just to double check, I'm gonna make sure they're cooked through. Take a fork, and all I'm gonna do is it fork tender? And it absolutely is. Every last one of them is fork tender. Beautiful. So at this point, I'm gonna drizzle my cane syrup. You know, you didn't even need that coconut with the pepper sauce. It would be delicious just like this. Think about it. Roasted squash with honey and butter and some cinnamon and fennel. It's good on its own. So if you want to eliminate this, you actually can, but then this makes it a little bit more special. So I'm going to go ahead and take some of my peppers. Put it right in the center there. So beautiful. Get them right in the center. It's really a decadent dish. It seems so simple to make, but it's so decadent. Okay, I'm really happy This is so delicious. I'm actually looking forward to eating this. I'm gonna try it. Let's see how it tastes. A little bit of the acorn squash right from the center, and I'll tell you in just 1 second. Maybe a pepper with it, yeah? You guys, this is so delicious. Make this at home. It's so delicious. Happy cooking.